My next guest is a singer, songwriter, and musician. From growing up on the ranch in Montana all the way to performing on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, she has blazed her own independent trail in the music industry. You may have recently seen her sparkling smile on The Kelly Clarkson Show. Welcome to the Living Instead podcast, Stephanie Quayle. Hi, Stephanie.
I'm just in awe. Hello, hello, hello.
I am so excited to have you on this podcast. We've been buddies in this industry for a minute, haven't we?
Absolutely. I think I'm coming up on being in Nashville. I think this is my 9th year.
Wow. So I'm on number 7, and I think we met. Do you remember when we met? What year? Maybe it was like 2015?
I think so, because I moved there in November of 11.
Wow.
I know, it's so weird. Don't you want to go back to like first day Nashville, Olivia, and just be like, hey, so get ready.
Yep.
You've got this.
It's not going to be the way that you saw it in your head and the way it looked.
But
You're going to have the time of your life, and don't drink too much.
and thank your liver every day.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Well, I want to dive into your story and your journey. When did you realize music was your love? And then when did that love take you to Nashville?
So music has been my love since I was a teeny tiny human. My mom would always be singing. You know, if we were doing chores, we were singing. Everything was connected to a song. I think that's why I didn't mind doing it, because it was always, yeah, we can sing and vacuum and sing in muck stalls or whatever it is. And I didn't know that it was possible. I mean, growing up in Montana, there wasn't YouTube. There was no American Idol, all these things. It was such a different time. And there wasn't access. You know, I thought of Nashville as something that other people get to do. And so when I was 16 years old, I ended up going to Freiburg, Switzerland on an exchange program. So this was my way of running away legally. So my freshman year of high school was super informative on human behavior, and I couldn't get into it. I always consider myself absolutely the one for the underdogs, and I didn't really understand the whole clique deal. And so I got bullied pretty heavily my freshman year of high school, and I didn't know what to do. So I signed myself up for an exchange program and ended up in Freiburg, Switzerland, studying French. And you're like, what does this have to do with music? So the first month, Olivia, that I'm there, I'm at this little cafe with my host brother before he's headed to America for his exchange. And we're sitting next to a table, and there's a band talking about their lead singer having just left their band. And so I'm like, what? I'm not very subtle. So I just said, hi, I sing in very broken French. And they're like, well, come audition. And so that was my first stepping out of myself for music in that moment and saying, okay, let's see. So they hired me. And our after school program was rehearsing and performing in Switzerland in different little bars and cafes. And that was really the first time on stage running a band. I'd done choir, I'd done church choir, school choir, but never to this level of, wait a second, I have to do this. This is a must. So then it was like, how do I do this?
Was there a language barrier? Did you have to sing things in French and in English? Like, how did that work?
Let's be honest. I'm pretty sure they hired me more because I was this American attempting to sing and speak in French and such. But most of the songs we recorded and performed were in English. And it was such, people ask me all the time, like, what was the genre of music? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. I don't know what exactly I don't even know if there is a genre. I think what was so incredible for me as such a young songwriter and musician, and not having any boundaries or like chasing this or chasing that, it was fenceless. It was the wide open. And I had time to just try stuff. What I was writing about, I'm like, why was I so dramatic? What was going on in that little 16-year-old mind? Good thing TikTok wasn't around then.
Oh man, I look back in my journal from when I was like 15 and 16. I look at all my lyrics, and it's like the darkest lyrics I've ever written in my entire life. I'm like, who was I? I'm like, these feelings will never cease. And you use all these big grandiose words, and you're like, what was going on? I was just going to high school and trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, but I'm fascinated by all our versions of ourselves. Like I know, like I look back at myself in chapters and I'm like, okay, we are going through some things. But anyhow, that led me to recording my first little CD with my band, which was called Scotch and Soda. We had a CD release party. And then I came back to Montana my senior year of high school and just, okay, let's go. Like, where do I go? Have my cassette tapes in my little briefcase, rocking around New York. Hi. I was calling record labels just as my, like, calling myself. Hi, hello. Like, what are you talking about? And no, we're a rap label. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Like I just was trying and figuring it out. And then I actually ended up in Los Angeles for a good while because LA was familiar to me. The West Coast was familiar growing up in Montana. I'd been there before. Like Nashville was like the holy grail. In my mind, I have to be so ready because once I go to Nashville, I can't leave. I have to do this. And so it wasn't until about, I think it was like October of 2011 where my gut said now. My gut said pack up and go right now. And then again, it was like, okay, just figuring it out. And Olivia, I had been full-time music since 2010. So I was making my living, albeit tiny, but performing. And so I got to come to Nashville with this sense of, okay, I don't have to make any decisions out of desperation. I can take care of myself financially. So I'm just going to learn. I'm just going to learn. I'm going to study. I'm going to watch and listen and just try to figure this whole thing out. Because I feel like we all have our preconceived notions of what it's all going to be like. And it's always different. And it's always strangely perfect.
It's exactly how we need to experience the mistakes and the failures and the hardships and the successes. And it all comes at the rate it's supposed to come to you. So take me back to Los Angeles, because I have the Los Angeles connection too, and the West Coast. Did you feel going to New York, going to Los Angeles, these were all training grounds for you before you made that conscious choice to get to Nashville?
Absolutely. So I ended up in New York because there was a couple music schools that I was considering. And then same thing with LA. So it was this back and forth happening like during my senior year of high school. And I was like, okay, am I going to go to college? What's this going to look like if I go to music? Like all the things which, you know, we are similar in the fact that we're like always working. So it's not just, okay, we'll just see. It's no, like we're going to go chase after opportunity. And so I absolutely think they were training ground. New York was so blunt and so direct. I loved that. I never wondered what people thought of me. I never had to wonder because it was so right to your face. It was like, no, we're not interested in you. Thank you very much. And I think that's a beautiful thing because no is not a bad word. No can be the greatest advantage you just don't know is coming. And so that was New York for me. And now knowing a little bit about California, and just as we grow up, you hear all the things about LA and some of the nonsense that goes on. I had that already in my brain. So I was able to take it all with a grain of salt. Are they telling me the whole truth or whatever that was? But man, in California, I met like some of my greatest friends that are still my friends to this date. I think everyone was like, why are you here? I got to ask that question almost on a daily basis with my little country songs and my cowboy boots and my just like 3 chords and the truth. And a lot of times it was, you don't fit what we're doing, so can we make you fit? And I didn't fit.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting, your journey and my journey, just thinking of all the places that I moved. So I grew up in Houston, moved to Los Angeles when I was 16, and then made the move to Nashville in 2013 when I was 21, 22. And you learn so much about yourself and your personality, and you pick up other things from other people's personalities, and you're thrown into these new situations when you move at such a young age. I think back to my 16-year-old self and I was like, what was I thinking? I guess I still have that fire and that passion. I moved to Nashville and now I'm just like, we tour, we throw ourselves as musicians into constant new situations with people. And it's almost like we had to go and develop that skill of being okay with the randomness and the chaos.
You know what? I legitimately say this pretty regularly, but I sometimes feel, and I don't know if you feel like this, that randomness, don't you feel like you're Forrest Gump sometimes? You're just like, how am I here right now? Like, how is this like an awesome situation? She'll be in a room. What is happening? Like, how am I here? And I sometimes have to go, no, you've worked your tail off.
Right.
And you're earning your place here. And sometimes you don't stop long enough to give yourself the credit. We are so quick to self-criticize, right? Man, I can go into, I don't like intense self-critique like that. But it's so interesting how our minds work, how we are so, I think as just humans in general, we tend to give ourselves less, hey, good job today.
It's,
You know?
for me, it was a tool I had to learn. I got into so many negative thought mental scripts, and I think it probably started when we first met in 2015. I was so crazy on the road, and I think our paths crossed like somewhere where we both were totally crazy on the road. Yeah, it seemed like we both were in like a van, just like passing each other and like running into each other at shows and playing shows, radio shows together, and all these different kinds of things.
Yeah.
But there are these super high highs and these super low lows where the lows for some reason really can get you way more down than the highs get you up, because it's almost like I don't want to get my hopes up too high because this dream is super big, but I'm also going to let these super lows really get me down. And I realized that in the midst of not taking care of myself, the low lows were getting me way more down. And on top of that, my first experience in Nashville, the first couple of years, I think I was trying to check the boxes and do too much of what people said versus who I was.
So what's really interesting, like hearing you say this, I have never experienced you any other way than being optimistic, a fan of everyone's biggest, like cheering, not even cheerleader, because it's like a cheer squad. So to think about you having low lows it's just one of those things that I think a lot of times the viewers, the listeners, the fans, as people, I say we both live very optimistically. We don't tend to share the hardships. I don't know. I know through your podcast, you're sharing a lot more, but I think I was thinking about this on the way over here today. I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful. Yes, I've worked my tail off, and it takes all those things. And I continue to work that way. So it's hard for me to share the hardships because I think, no one needs to hear about that from me. And then I think about you when you're just saying that. I'm like, I can't imagine you low.
But it's so true. And I think I realized going on my journey and going through therapy and healing myself and going through unpacking all of the bad mental scripts I was telling myself and not letting people see it. It was only to myself,
Sure.
which is a very, it's a scary place to be because, like you're saying, people were like, wait, I didn't know you had a lot going on. I didn't know you were so sad on the inside. And I think, and you think of comedians, like comedians are the happiest people on the planet, but they're actually the most sad and broken people. And I think for me to shine so brightly, sometimes the people that shine the brightest, which you are a person who shines the brightest too, you are always optimistic. You're always fabulous. You're always just, you walk in a room and it's like, wow, electrified. You're just so energized. And that was what I took from you when I first met you, as just this young 20-year-old woman being like, wow, I really love her energy. I need to light up a room like she does. But I realized that it was coming from an inauthentic place. Like I was trying to shine so brightly, but I poured my cup out way too quickly because it wasn't coming from an authentic place.
I get it. I get it. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we find is that a lot of times the thing we need is the thing we project, right?
Yes.
And so I am on a truth seeking authenticity message of myself. Like these last 7 months of this time has been such a strange time, but yet I've chosen to make it an opportunity for me to grow. And so looking at everything as, okay, let's look at it without the filter, without the ring light, with really ugly fluorescent lighting. Let's just take a look and let's get really honest and figure out, okay, what is it about music that is so important? For me, it's the people. I have found that my love of people is what is makes me tick, and music is my vessel, and that and songs and the stage and all that, but it's that human connection that I live for, because I think that we have such an opportunity. Just like we can say something negative to someone, we have the opportunity to inspire some little tiny moment and maybe be the thing or a part of the thing that inspires that person to get through whatever they're getting through, or to go chase a dream, be it the sciences or politics or a writer or a fire. It doesn't matter what. Like, music is ours from the standpoint of this is our dream and this is, we're going after this with everything we have. But man, to lie to ourselves during the process to try to make other people happy, it will dim our light. So, how to take care of self so that you can really take care of others in a way that is authentic and never feels fraudulent. It's nuts how much we have to think about. Like,
Yeah, it really is. And two people who really, really, it's that moment you are able to on stage to capture a heart, but then also follow that up with somebody's heart changing, I think what is what drives me and what is my fix. And it seems very clear that's your fix. And I think if you have a surface expectation with your art of fame, or you're in it for who knows what, something surfacey along the lines of, I just want fame, I want money, I want to do the photo shoots, I want to do this. Yes, all of that is really fun. And don't get me wrong, there's been times that I'm like, yay, I'm getting these like really fun fruit trays backstage. This is awesome. I'm living the life. Look at this spread. It's incredible. But when you go on stage, all of that goes out the window, and you have to go back to that resort, that base of, wait, why am I doing this? And to your point, Stephanie, the same thing has been happening to me this year. I've been through all kinds of thoughts of, even after healing myself, and I'm still a work in progress always, but the parts of me I desperately needed to heal. 2020 has been am I really meant to do this? Am I supposed to be doing this? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? You ask yourself all these questions because a lot of the experience of musicians has been taken away right now because we don't get that fix of going out and seeing people's hearts being changed.
And also, it's when we think about this time where the most important people that are working for the greater good, right? Like our first responders and our everyone just like working, our teachers, you are like, okay, am I contributing?
Am I doing enough? Yes.
Am I contributing? Is what I'm doing actually doing something? And it's interesting to hear that you've been navigating that conversation as well with yourself, because no one is telling us that this is our own self evolution, which is so important, because I truly feel the moment we get back on that stage, the way we sing, the way that we convey, the way that we connect with our family, our tour family, and with our fans who are, I'm sure you feel, are your family too. So to not have that right now and be like, am I doing enough? It's because virtual land is cool and so grateful we can. This is incredible. You're going to put this out and people will be able to hear it. The difference is we're not sitting at the listening room side by side with our guitars talking about this and having a conversation with people in person. That I hope a lot of these podcasts translate to live experience, because I think there's so many people that are so hungry for that connection, be it music, be it speaking, whatever it is. Yeah, but I'm a human addict. I am 1,000%. Like, the first flight I've taken over the course of this last few months, 7 months. That's not a few. I was masked up and I'm ready to go. And I'm so used to talking to people at airports. Like, I love strangers. And I've had some of the greatest conversations at airports through the course of my career. And just, you end up sitting next to someone, you're like, this is not random. And we don't have that connection right now because we're behind a mask. And so I found myself going up to people, like really trying to smize. And I'm like Tyra would be really proud of my smizing. And I could not get, I was like, okay, am I needing this for me? What's happening here? So I kept having conversations with myself. And then I finally just did a guy who had a mask on. I was like, hey man, you can't see this, but I'm smiling at you. I hope you have a great day. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening to our world?
That's the new, I know,
we need our full faces to share our feelings.
And you see all of the doctors and the first responders and the nurses, some of them have their smile on their chest because the patients can't see what they look like. And I remember being at the store and just trying to smile at people, and then I have to remind myself that people can't see me smile, and I'm like, my smile is like my greatest weapon, and I don't know how to make people feel happy if I can't show them my happiness myself.
No, it's a really interesting time. It's hilarious too when people whisper and you're like, I can't hear you at all.
0%. I can barely even hear you if you try to talk to me in just a normal voice. Like, I'm gonna need you, and then some places have that shield. It's a lot.
So you mentioned something about therapy, and I think therapy is so phenomenal. And I feel like I've been in therapy most of my adult life. What has been the greatest lesson you've learned about yourself through therapy?
Probably not everything I think is true, which is big. And I had a pretty radical shift, a spiritual shift. I went from pretty much atheist to being a believer in Jesus Christ again after going through my therapy journey, which is...
Wow, honey!
It was a very big shift.
Wow.
So that thought led to that. And then also, I think the next biggest thing is that there's tools. And I'm not ever going to be the most perfect version of myself because I'm human, I'm flawed, life happens, you get knocked down. And I think part of the journey is being able to, how do I this time stand on my 2 feet easier?
Right.
Every single time, I hope it just gets a little bit easier and I grow a little bit more wise. And there's tools. I have people to call now when I'm feeling lost, when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling broken. And it's always, and I think that's where we're at just culturally, especially leading up to this whole pandemic. And I think a lot of people, I'm interested to see what the mental aftermath of this whole time is, because I think our culture is so go all the time that you don't have time to think for yourself and have conversations with yourself. And so when a lot of people have been faced, if I had to be in this period 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been so unbelievably ugly to myself that I don't know how I would have fared. I already had the tools to be able to get myself out of the negative. I've had my bad days during this. We all have, because it's a crazy time and we all need to give ourselves a little grace. But I just hope that I hope people know out there that there are tools that you can have and learn to be able to take yourself out of those negative places.
Yeah.
We just don't have distraction right now. And I feel like we need a healthy balance. It can't be way too much distraction, and it can't be way too little. You're by yourself all the time. I think there needs to be a balance. And especially for that 1 month where everybody was at home, it was just like, wow, I'm lucky that I was with my parents. Yeah. All of my girlfriends were pretty much on their own, and a lot of them got foster dogs. And I was like, I don't think my poor heart could have fared that way. So I see all the people who are out there doing their thing on their own, and it's amazing, but I'm just a total extrovert.
I get that.
Let's go back to when you first got to Nashville. How was that journey for you, figuring out who you were as an artist, and what were the hardships? What was the pushback?
There is a certain amount of goldfish syndrome that I have. And what goldfish syndrome is, this is not a real syndrome. Goldfish syndrome in my mind is where you swim around your little fishbowl, and every day is like maybe the day before didn't happen. It's like this renewed sense of new, fresh, just thought and curiosity. And something that I pride myself on is trying not to allow the bitter jadedness that can happen in any business where it's not handed to you and you have to work for it, and everyone has their own timing. And I found myself just getting curious. So one of the first places I went was the little place on West End?
Commodore? The Commodore?
Yes, the Commodore. And I feel like that's where everyone goes.
That's where it started for me. That was like one of the first rounds I played.
Yeah, and I think I got in on an open mic night. But before that, I had seen these songwriter rounds and I was mesmerized. I was taken, like my whole heart got scooped up as a songwriter musician in that moment, going, if you can hold a room with only your voice, song, and guitar, you're doing something right. And that has nothing to do with whether or not it's a hit song. It has everything to do with, does the song matter? And I remember soaking it up and going to many songwriters and just saying, hi, I'm new. Sure, because this was an indicator that you are new. Would you like to write? And they'd be like, cool, yeah, maybe we can get coffee sometime. I'd be like, no, we have to write a song together, and I was so just relentless out the gate that some of my greatest friendships in writing came from relentlessly asking, but also meeting that with earning my spot from a songwriter and crafter of songs. So I think that I was a little wide open and there's got to be a way, just finding a way. But also the respect of the craft, that was a learned thing. And Nashville is a very tight-knit community. They want to know that you're in it for the long haul as a community. And I think a lot of songwriters have seen so many artists come in and out of town, and labels, and managers, and agents. When they talk about Nashville being a 10-year town, I think it has more to do with, this is a marathon and it's not a sprint. And I was thinking about this the other morning. I've only run one marathon and I will only run one marathon. What it represents, the metaphor of a marathon to me, is that when you're running a marathon, you're not running like you're running a sprint. It's, unless you're just very fast. I am not. And what I found was that running the marathon, you see everything around you in such vivid depiction because you're not speeding by it. So the leaves turning, the cracks in the pavement, the signs that people had written on the sidelines just to motivate strangers, all these things. And when I think about this journey, all those moments I'm getting to see in vivid color. All those moments haven't happened so quickly that I don't respect them, that I take nothing for granted. I get to look at them through the, how blessed am I to be able to? And I think sometimes my focus gets so goal oriented and so specific because I'm very specific with my goals. And then I'm also very like, I'm in the weeds and at 100,000 feet. So finding a way to have the wildest, most epic goals and dreams and aspirations, and also that self-reality check along the way so you don't miss along the way.
It's hard.
Yeah, of course. But I had huge opportunities right out the gate. In 2012, my first CMA music festival, I'm performing at. The first time going, I'm performing. I'm like, this is amazing. And getting to experience country music and then just build that foundation. And doing it from the standpoint of, for those that aren't familiar, you can either sign a record deal or you can do it independently. And in my case, I've been building my career self-contained and independently. And that can be not a more difficult road, it's just a different road. And there are difficulties on all sides of all sides. We always think the grass is greener. We always think someone else might have it easier than we do, but we don't know anyone else's story. We don't know anyone else what they've been through. And I've really been focused on allowing myself to trust that my time is my time.
It's so hard, but it's also the greatest gift. And it really does, Stephanie, I totally agree with you. It's that feeling of gratitude. I think everybody's moment for when they feel like they've made it, they've gotten to the pinnacle of where they want to be. But it gives you an insane amount of gratitude that if I had moved to Nashville and gotten everything that I wanted up front, I think that I would not have been as grateful as I am. And when I first got to town, I remember having this, I was optimistic, and maybe that was the beginnings of it being, I don't know. I just think back to beginning Olivia in Nashville, and she's happy-go-lucky, she's green, she doesn't really know everything she needs to know yet, but she's willing to learn. Right. And I remember that feeling of being around jaded people.
Yeah, I get it.
And It's so rampant here. There's beautiful people here too. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful city. Nashville's full of amazing, incredible people who will support your greenness and positivity and take you under your wing and mentor you.
Right.
I just happen to not land in those kinds of people when I first got to town.
Mm.
And it sent me on a trajectory of maybe I don't need to be as grateful. Maybe I don't need to be as happy. Maybe this really is the nature of the business. Everybody just gets a little jaded, and then they start bad talking people, and they're out at bars and they're drinking too much. And I think I got a little bit caught up in that world. Yeah. But I think where I started was that hopeful optimism. And so I had to take a journey all the way back to find that girl again. But she was more seasoned with her hardships and her
wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom is a beautiful thing. We don't honor wisdom like some other cultures do. And I agree. Like it's a very fine line, and the noise can be overwhelming, and the noise can feel, well, if everyone else is in the noise, maybe I need to be in the noise. And I think my heartbreak would be if you ever didn't get to be your beautiful, just optimistic, like goldfish ways in which I'm like, it's interesting though. So sometimes, but the flip side of that coin is sometimes people think that I haven't been through as much as I've been through because I am optimistic.
Right.
And as I say this, I just got on a soapbox. Did you see that? I just climbed up on it.
I'm so here for it. I am ready. Preach, girl.
Because I don't wear necessarily the years or the heartbreak or whatever on my face, on my shoulders, it sometimes makes people think that I haven't earned my place yet, or I haven't been through enough in order to be. And you know what I'm really recognizing in myself right now, and a lot of obviously learning the power of self-talk and how our brains are supercomputers and they record everything and they delete nothing. What we say to ourselves is the most important message, period, the end. And we don't have to make excuses or explain ourselves to anyone. And letting our gifts that God has given us make way for us and go through the doors we're meant to, and the ones that shut for a reason. If something feels off, you don't have to know why always. And if something changes and you're like, wait, I didn't see that coming. You know what? Sometimes when things change really fast, you're like, wait, there's so many reasons behind everything. I have found that self-talk component is probably the most profound thing, because what we say to ourselves can be life altering. Like, I might fail, but I'm not a failure. To fail at something is different than being something, right? I messed up versus I'm a mess. Really being able to differentiate what we say about ourselves and how we take criticism. Like that quote, what someone thinks about you is none of your business. Okay, but who is impenetrable with commentary?
And also our career is caring what people think of our songs. So it's like this weird delineation you have to make.
It's like really being a Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
There we go. That's really what it is. And being flexible and just able to stay in that state of humble confidence. And I think we as women, our tendency is to try to figure out why someone else has something. And we don't need to. It's really okay to not. And I don't know where that happens. I don't know when that happens in the course of growing up. I had, between my mom and my stepmom and all the just extraordinary, strong women that I have grown up with and still grow with, that has never been something that's been, and when you see a woman that has more or less than you, put on your judgy glasses and try to understand why they're where they are and you're not, or they're not where you are, and compare. Comparison is such a tricky, dangerous place, and it only really slows you down.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow down the person you're thinking about because they're busy.
Busy doing them. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Joy thief.
It's a joy thief.
I'll put myself in my little cross-legged.
Not today, Satan.
Not. I just adore you so much. And I'm just really grateful that we can share our adventures.
Yeah.
And Music is the greatest gift, and the power of music from the stage. And I remember the moment I stepped into the Opry circle, and I had a little section of the audience designated Montana because my whole family from Montana came out. And that was probably one of those moments where I was like, okay, I am where I am. I am where I am, and I've earned this moment, and I'm going to appreciate every little smidgen, from the slip of my high heel shoe across the floor when like you're like, ooh, and or just getting to look into those lights and know that everyone is there rooting for you because it's your first. You only get your debut one time. So I really have found that I just want to make greater music and greater impact through the course of this. And what's my purpose? That's my purpose. And really leaning into fully accepting myself and being able to share that unconditional love. And that's a toughie. It's all easier to say than to act upon. And I'm on a mission of just unearthing all things Quayle so that I can really be my full self.
I think that's, as I talk to more people and do these conversations and these interviews that turn into such deep talks, I'm starting to realize, or maybe propose, that the key of life is that you're trying to just unlock the best version of yourself. Your career is part of it. It shouldn't define you. Your career, what you do, what you value, your morals, it's all a part of you, and it's all things that are going to bring you different trials and tribulations. But I think we should all be always seeking, how do I just become my best self?
Yeah.
How do I do that?
How do I be less lame? Like, how can I be nicer, kinder? Yeah, I love the phrase, when you tell the truth, you have to remember nothing. Like, you don't have to remember what you're saying. When I don't know, I might have
This is why I don't lie. This is why I'm such a bad liar, because I have the worst memory.
If you're living in that just good, bad, ugly truth, you don't have to remember. And that's, or recall and be like, well, I think I said blah, 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 blah. And then you get into all kinds of, adventures in that, which are not fun. I do feel at the beginning of this whole COVID land, I didn't know what it was all going to look like. None of us did. None of us have ever been in this position before. And I lean into the positive of it. Yeah, we have some rotten lemons that have turned into like delicious lemonade for those that are choosing to. So in this time of challenge, it's okay. How do you innovate? How do you create? How do you be a better friend, sister, daughter, wife, all those things? And I love learning. And so I'm reading more books. I've got I love a book. I can't have it on a digital.
Oh, me too.
Can't be swiping in books, okay?
We need to exchange our book lists.
I have a list.
Yes.
I feel like you're like, yeah, I've read it, done, check.
I don't know. My library is growing very rapidly because I was not a big reader until these last 2 years, and I'm like, it's almost like I'm catching up on everything I missed out on for my whole life.
There's so much great information. Again, you take what feeds you. I'll read books of all walks of life because I'm curious and I want to know. And usually what I find is when I can't put it down, that there's something that's got a hold of me, and then it's okay, how do we figure out what that is? And a lot of songs come from that for me. A lot of songwriting, and okay, that there's something there that I need to investigate. And is that for me? I look at songs two ways. Do I need this for me right now? Or is this something that could be a message in a song to really be helpful?
Because you have been through so much as an artist, as a human, as a person. You've lived a lot of life and you have a lot of wisdom for me to learn. My mind keeps being blown every single conversation I have, because no matter, you said it best, no matter what kind of walk of life you've had, everybody has something to share and to give. And we always need to be in the stance of learning. And that's the greatest gift that this podcast has given me. I've been able to have conversations and learn people's stories. And you need to know people's stories before you judge them, because we're not always seeing the full story on social media, or
We'll never know the full story on social media. That's probably one of the most defining things that has happened. Like, where do you go for the truest information? Where do you go to find it? And also having that grace that you talk about with others, and assuming the best. You walked into, let's say you get in a car accident and someone hit you, and your first reaction is just like anger, and not a serious, let's go with like a fender bender, like when your first reaction is all the things. Let's say that person just got a phone call from a family member with tragic news, and they're just trying to figure out, and it just happened. And then, so I think that when we just, again, that response versus react, response is when you take a minute and you really listen and you think about what the other person has done or said, and you think about how your words are going to impact that other person, versus react, where it's just like, you're just emotionally letting whatever rip. And the impact of our words are so powerful that taking like even a millisecond to slow our roll is so important.
I know when someone around me is always, I've got no filter, I just speak whatever I think. I'm like, oh, okay. That doesn't seem very healthy, but I used to be that way.
I have said a lot of things unfiltered. And I'll say this, I think that we never know how something is received. So what we think might have this impact, like, I'm going to say this, might have more detriment versus another way of saying something. So I feel like I'm learning to have conversations where I'm trying to be as considerate as possible on all the, like, how is this going to...
You navigate your way through it.
All I can do.
It's all you can do.
And then give yourself a little grace, because everyone's going to screw up. And I am like, man, I don't know I'm just doing the best I could do. I don't know. And I'm the first one to say, man, if I screw this up, please let me know. If I have offended many with my goldfish concept, I'm sorry. That's just how I looked at it.
Yeah.
Every day is a new day in this fishbowl. So how you choose to wake up about it is how you choose to wake up about it. If every day is an opportunity for awesomeness, then you'll make it awesome.
Exactly. Mic drop. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to end this podcast with a couple of rapid fire questions. So I'm going to say the first part of the sentence and you're going to complete it.
Okay.
I have seen every episode of...
Oh my gosh, everything on Netflix. The Office.
My favorite meal ever is...
Cheeseburger French fries.
Easy. My secret songwriter tip is...
Dare to Suck. Stole it from John Mabe.
My favorite song ever written is...
Haven't written it yet.
Ooh, that's good. Something I would tell my 21-year-old self is...
Slow down, to hurry up, and that you have all the time you need.
Someone wise once told me...
Only good will come of this.
And last one, 3 things I would take to a deserted island would be...
My husband and my 2 stepkids.
Oh, I love that. Stephanie, thank you so much for doing this podcast. There's so much wisdom, and I'm just in awe listening to you talk about your journey, and it just makes me excited to go into the future. Today's a new day.
Yes. Everything, it's when you think about a song, that was just an idea in your journal or in the shower or taking a walk. And when you get to create something, that's like divine magic. And then inspire people. Think about your podcast. So you're like, I'm going to do something. And you didn't wait to figure it out. You figured it out. And it's one thing to think of an idea. It's one thing to initiate and create. And I think there's such beauty in forward motion. Just keep doing.
Totally.
Love it. Proud of you. Thank you for having me on.
I'm proud of you. Thank you for being on.